Alright, hello YouTube. My eyes are a little red. I just woke up from sleeping. Uh, the reason I woke up when I was dreaming, it was I had this interesting thought, like my mind was just going all over the place. Like I was sleeping, I was dreaming, and I don't remember what I was doing, but I was in this town walking, and then all of a sudden my mind shifted to another area, and I just felt like my body as multiple pieces of things. Like I had my mind present, but I was different things. And the reason I wanted to make this video today is because it when I woke up, thoughts were flying through my mind. It's gonna get a little. This video is gonna be a little philosophical or theoretical, but I just had the idea matter. What are we Since there's a theory before you learn in 5th grade matter cannot be created or destroyed, and I was just thinking if matter cannot be created or destroyed, and humans theoretically are made of matter, aren't we all the same people? Yeah, there's the theories of heaven and hell, but if it's true, our body dies, we are matter itself. Don't we just go back into the universe, or the particles down to its basic state in nature? I was like, hold on, that is so. I was like, it's interesting. We all wake up when we're born with this new clean state of slate, but if matter is never created nor destroyed, I mean, theoretically, I guess it could be destroyed if talking about antimatter, but in disregards to antimatter, just matter itself, or in other states, because matter, I guess, technically can be destroyed. Not really, without talking about antimatter. Matter shifts through phases of energy to pure energy to matter, goes in that state of natural cycle, but it's all the same thing. So I was like, technically we lived, we've been here before, maybe not our conscious, well, maybe, but our pieces, our body, this matter, everything around us has been here before. We've all been here before. We've been in this world before, or this universe before. And that's the topic I want to talk about in this video. I'm going to be using some articles and stuff to help. Let's start with the law of conservation. Law of conservation of mass. It states that matter cannot be created or destroyed, like I said before. And matter, it changes for forms, like I said before. Matter can change to energy. Let's talk about since it can't be created or destroyed, are humans created from matter? Let's check out what this person has to say. This person's name is C. Stewart Hardwick. I looked this up on Quora. It says, if matter cannot be created nor destroyed, how can mankind exist? I'm going to be paraphrasing this video for free purpose. It's just theories I'm talking about. I'm not trying to make money off of it. Humans, like any other living creatures, are made out of atoms taken from the air, water, and the food we eat. The food we eat is ultimately made out of air, water, and soil, reconstructed by plants and energy from the sun. So, would that mean that something was created from nothing? How did that happen? No. That means we are made from the atoms of the earth. Those atoms, in turn, were made through nuclear fusion when the universe was formed. So when the universe was formed, basically it's stating that we all came, or this matter all came, it was there, present. It's still here, and it's created using things take example, this is my AirPod case. It's matter. My shirt, matter. Beanie, matter. Me, matter. I am matter. All this broken down into its absolute first state, basic state, is all matter, or so-called energy, depending on how people view matter and energy, which are slightly different. And then, so I was like, hold on. If matter cannot be created or destroyed, we're all pieces together, I was like, then how do we have like a general conscious? Like, why do humans or animals, bugs, think? But like, I was like, why do we think? Like, plants, they don't think. Well, we don't know if they think. I was like, why do we think? And I was like, is it because of the soul? Maybe it's the soul of like humans, or we call the human soul, or just souls in general if we're talking about like animals, since they can technically think too. They can. And then this might get a little religious at this part. I am using What is the Human Soul by gotquestions.org. It says, it simply states that the human soul is a part of a person, but it's not physical. It is the part of every human being that lasts eternally after the body experiences death. And then in Genesis 35:18, it describes the death of Rachel, Jacob's wife, saying she, naming her son, as her soul was departing. From this we know that the soul is different from the body, and that it continues to live physically after death. And the human soul is centered. It's the person of a human being. You don't have a soul, you are the soul. You have a body. But a soul is required, some say a soul is required to have the body think. So imagine a body, it's like a clean state, nothing. Some might say when you're born you don't have a soul yet. You're just matter at its full, with a functioning body, but there's nothing really there. And taking back from like the religious aspect, I somewhat do agree, yes. Like, the reason I agree for like souls, human souls, well, obviously, like, look around, like, there's humans, like, there's humans, stuff, like, if we didn't have a soul, why would these topics be talked about? Also, it's hard to describe, like, I can give examples myself, but it's like, it's hard to believe. I'll give examples, but like, it's up to the person to decide if souls exist. So, back in World War II, the Nazis, they did the Axis, like, they did their cruel experiments, and a lot of the doctors did a lot of unethical, like, they did a lot of unethical experiences. A lot of them were groundbreaking. I don't condone that they should have gone through what they did, but a lot of the experiments they did were groundbreaking. We still use their oh my god, state of decay. No, state of decease. We still use their theories, or like their experiments data today. Take one, for example. They did a experiment on like it's unfortunate, but like the death of humans. What happens to the human body after it dies? They were trying to test if the soul was real. And in the conclusion, when the patients died, they came to the conclusion that initially there was no soul. But after further testing, there was a theory that the soul might be there, because they laid the person on the bed, and they waited to see if something would disappear, or the weight would drop. Would the weight drop when the person died? And initially, nothing would happen. So they kept doing the test, and they came to the conclusion that maybe they need to make it, like, see the small, tiny decimals, wait, instead of like we're gonna do this in pounds, like lbs. In lbs, say it was 5 lbs, it would never drop 4 lbs. So they're like, maybe it's the point ones, the 0.001s. And they did the test again, searching for stuff around that, and came to the conclusion that like there was like the 0.01, like something would leave the body after the death of a person. But that's just one theory. Another way, I don't know, describe soul. If you ever been to a hospital, when you see somebody on like their deathbed, like it's, or if you ever been to a memorial, if you ever look at a person like that's like passed away, they looked empty, like there's nothing there. But if you ever see like a patient, like somebody about like laying on their deathbed, like before they're like not fully dead, but nothing moving, you could just still see, like, I don't know, you can still feel energy there, like a presence of a body, even though there might be nothing going on. But other than that, it's because that's somewhat complicated, hard for me to talk about. Let's see, what is the soul then? If we are all matter, and matter can't be created, destroyed, then what is the soul then? Is the soul, if the soul is real, is it matter or energy? And I'm going to be using this article from Quora, or this topic. This person named Siranyasi Dubi, holy crap, I don't know if I read that name right. But this person says, the soul is the purest form of energy. It is the energy that Sir Einstein talked about in his theory. The soul, in its purest form, is colorless, white energy. The universe is composed of 2 elements existing in each other, together as one single entity. Those 2 elements are consistent of energy and consciousness, which today is called dark matter, or antimatter. Consciousness is nothing but a void. It says that which is not. Which I guess basically says that energy can be converted to mass, vice versa. Mass can be converted to energy. It's a unique rhythm that created the whole universe. In like Japan and like Buddhists, it's called ki. It's the pure energy that hold us together, like that presence the world, like as ki or energy. It's like the flow, like the state around us. Since the soul is not like a materialistic thing, we can't touch the soul. Like it's not something we can grab, but like it's like gravity somewhat. Like theoretically, we know it's there, but we can't 100% prove. But we're like 99% true it's there, but we can't 100% prove it, since we can't physically like see it or touch it. But we can see the actions of like gravity or soul, but like we can't like physically view it. Like we can't literally see it. Let's talk another one. Let's describe. This is from Ashi. The soul is a profound mystery concept. It's been a debate for many millenniums. What is the soul, or self-conscious? Some say it's the immortal essence of who we are. It implies that the soul is not energy or matter per se, but is observing the awareness that witnesses all forms in a phenomenon. It's something fundamental that connects the body, mind, and spirit. It's also an integral soul that ties our many lifetimes together. Theoretically, if we had many lifetimes together. like in a easier concept to break this down, it's saying that the soul is nothing like matter. It's something out of this, like, the concept of this, like, dimension, like, universe. Like, it's something totally different, the soul. And the soul it doesn't disappear. It travels around, like, it's all your lifetime. It's stored together. So that goes into another theory that maybe I'll talk about in another video. Karma. I'm not going to talk about it here, but karma in itself. Like, karma, simply stated, is that, like, in Buddhist, like, is it Buddhist? Yeah, I think it's Buddhist. I'm thinking of the Japanese Buddhist. But karma, the karma theory states that, like, your actions are either good or bad, and they accumulate towards your life. Like, for every action, let's say you do something bad, it'll come to bite you back. You know, stitches get stitches. The theory in that, like, saying is that, like, since you snitched, that action will come back to bite you, come back to haunt you for your life. The karma theory states that, like, throughout your life you accumulate good and bad karma, and at the end of your life, whatever, if your karma is bad or good, will transfer to your next lifetimes. Let's say you ended with a lot of bad karma compared to good karma, then your next life will be typically bad because you had a lot of bad karma, and it's vice versa. If you accumulate a lot of good karma compared to bad karma at the end of your life, and when you're reborn, there's a bunch of good karma, you will have a better life. That's like a small statement of, like, what the karma theory means. And then going back to, like, soul, like, since we all are, matter cannot be created, destroyed, the human soul, if it's technically matter, if we're going on this theory, like, if it's matter, because we don't know what it is, then does matter itself have a conscious? And that's where it gets even more complicated. Some might say it gets even more extremely complicated at this point, since if the soul is matter, and, like, say it just breaks apart, like, when you die, you return to the earth, you return to the universe, like, your body, it's places. Where does all that, like, where does your soul or matter go? Like, where does all that, it just goes out. So I was thinking, like, technically, would that make matter have, like, a conscious? Looking at this Reddit post, I'm in R Philosophy. Well, is matter conscious? Is the title. Why the central problem in neuroscience is mirrored in physics. The top post by Pete1187 states that, going back to these are names of, like, famous philosophers: Gottfried Leibniz and Immanuel Kant. Philosophers of science have struggled with a lesser known but equal hard problem of matter. When is physical matter in itself behind the mathematical structure described by physics? The problem too seems to lie behind this traditional method of science. Because all we can observe is what matter does, not what it is in itself. That's just true. Like going back to what I said about gravity, we know it's there, just like matter. We know it's there. The soul, we kind of know it's there, like, but we can't describe. We don't have a definite proof explaining, like, what it is, why it is there. We just know it's there. These are like the laws of nature. Skipping around the article, let's go to problem of conscious. No matter how precisely we could specify the mechanisms underlying, for example, the perception and recognition of tomatoes, we could still ask, why is the process accompanied by the subjective experience of red, or any experience at all? Why couldn't we have physically processed but no conscious? So that is actually, I'm just gonna break it down for those who don't understand. Basically, the person is saying like, why are humans not like tomatoes? Why do we not just have the physical process of moving, like robots? Let's explain this with robots and humans. Robots currently do not have a mind of its own. Why are we not robots then? Is basically what this person's saying. Why do we have a conscious? Like humans can act. We can act. We defy the laws of physics, basically. Like we can go our way to do something can change the course of history, somebody's life. But robots, on the other hand, they can't. They're consciously programmed to do one thing, or how many other tasks they're given. Why are we not like that? Is basically what it's saying. Another situation that comes up when we talk about is like, what is matter conscious? The problem of matter. One might wonder how physical particles are independently of what they do or how they relate to other things. We are physical things, like in themselves, are intrinsically. Some have argued that there is nothing more to particles than their relations. But intellectually rebels claim that relation is empty, a show that goes without performance, or a castle constructed out of thin air. In other words, physical structures must be realized or implemented by some stuff or some substances that itself not purely structural. Otherwise, there would be clear no difference between physical or mere mathematical structures, or between the concrete universe and a mere abstraction. Oh, wow. Luckily this, hold on, let me think. Like, that is very complicated. I don't think I completely get what that person is trying to say right here. I guess he's saying like, it might be wrong, it probably is, but I'll try my best to explain. Maybe if y'all watching know, write down in comments what this means. But in my opinion, how I take this is that matter's like building blocks, you know. Initially, a train can't run by itself, but if you keep building the train building block by building block, it becomes a moving thing, or like a house. Initially, a house at a stage of like a flat, barren ground is nothing. But over time, as you build the walls, floors, roof, and furniture, it becomes a living, breathing house. That makes sense. And a few things this person wants to point out is, okay. Actually, he's talking more about the Russell's theory. So Russell is he's a philosopher, I think in the 1950s and up. I know, even longer before that. I'm pretty sure somewhere, I think it started like World War I or somewhere. So it's a professor from that time. I'm not going to talk about him in this video, but maybe in another video I'll talk about his theories. He has a bunch of theories. But basically, he created theories about like, a lot of theories, but one of his biggest theories about like the human mind. What is it? Like, what's human conscious? Since like a human brain, for example, it generates consciousness in forms of neural impulses for certain descriptions. They're not yet clearly identified through a considerable amount of support in the system, but we know that like the human brain supplies like our conscious, like, but our human brain supplies our conscious, and when we die, or like when our brain is detached, we cease to exist. But in this theory, in one theory, this person states, Russell, is why is it that like the human brain is the powerhouse for it? We're all cells. Like, take an example, like our stomach. It has a lot of complex designs, like cells created. And what's the reason the brain is so much different? And then this person, shout out to Robert Lata. This person has a PhD in philosophy. They say, quite possibly, quite possibly, electronic devices of a human design and manufacture will generate conscious in the near future, in forms of one or another electronic analogy of neural implants in the brain. Quite possibly, the full picture extends far beyond Earth, to such an extent that present-day terrestrial conscious is scarcely worth mentioning, except perhaps as a joke. Ha ha. So, in other words, he's stating that, like, technically, consciousness is like a series of like building blocks, like a little stronger than the stomach, like tightly wrapped around and woven. Like, he's saying that maybe, quite possibly in the future, that humans would create a device of code that works together to create a living conscious, like an AI with a living brain. Like, because technically, that's what we are right here. We're just a mind and matter with a brain for a conscious. All pieces building up to create that. So, in full, like one day, maybe, we could have like a human electronic design for a conscious. But later on, his theory states like, if that's possible, this person says, if that's possible, what does the soul have to do? What does the soul have to do? That's how he ends it. What does the soul have to do with that? If one day, in theory, we can create consciousness from like coding, where does the soul have to come into play? Since it's a living, independent being now that we created, theoretically, it's technically equal to human now. It has the mind, the consciousness, the soul. We're gonna end it right here. It's getting pretty long, but like, we'll end it right here. But the soul itself, like, we state at the soul itself as like humans, as only humans and like animals having it. But we don't state it with plants or like theoretically in the future AI is having it, even though the plant is a living being, the AI is not right now. But why do we not state with plants having a soul? It's a living, tangible creature. Or it's not a creature, I guess, can't move, but like, it's there. It has all the pieces. Does it have I do not actually know if a plant has a brain, but like, let's say, does it have a conscious? If it does have a conscious, why is it treated so much differently? Like, what's the matter? Does that mean the plant has a soul? And if AIs ever do get created, like, would have a conscious of its own, does the soul have to come to play with that? That's all I have to talk about today. I'll leave you for questions to think about. Peace.